Hello and welcome to another term. My name is Tony, Tony Lowe, Dr. Tony Lowe, if you want a title. But I am certainly a professor, but before that, I was a professional engineer for 20 some years. Um, I worked in GPS receivers. I worked on airplanes. I worked in banks. I worked in health insurance. I worked for governments. Worked as a contractor, all sorts of different places. And I want to welcome you in, not as a student, but as if you were a new employee. Now, obviously, you're not an employee. You're here for learning, and I totally understand that, and that's going to be the focus. But I also want you to start to adopt the mindset of what it means to be in a professional workplace, to behave professionally, to learn professionally, to apply knowledge professionally. And so that's why I want to introduce you to this very different structure of the way I teach my classes. So it doesn't matter which class I teach, everything is sort of kind of around this. There might be some nuance, so please pay attention to the syllabus, pay attention to what I say in class. But this should be a nice introduction for you to get ready. So I'm going to move myself out of here so we can focus on the big screen here, and let's get going. So the first thing I want to say is professionally, habits drive so much of your performance. Getting in good disciplined habits is going to make you a better professional, whether you're going to be a developer or just any profession. And that means all sorts of different professional habits you want to adopt. So really, the way we judge professionals these days is we want somebody who's competent, who knows their stuff. We want somebody who, whatever their profession is, programming or cybersecurity or data science, or maybe you're in finance or something else, that you really know how to talk the talk and how to have conversations. But you also need to be able to do stuff and do stuff effectively. You need to be good at applying this ideas of knowledge and facts to your job. You need to write code, you need to secure systems, you need to balance books, and within that, act ethically and present your work in an organized fashion and be focused and do the job in a timely manner. You also need to work well with others. You want to be respectful to others and present yourself well within your work and how you interact with others, and reactive and responsible. Um, the reason why I think this is important is so much of your time has been in a school setting where the teacher did much of this for you. They told you how to behave. They told you when to do things and when to turn them in. And I want you to start owning that yourself. I think you'll have more satisfaction out of it, and I think it'll better prepare you for the next stages of life. So let's talk about knowing your stuff real quick. Knowing your stuff is really what school's all about. It's memorizing facts, it's taking quizzes, it's taking tests, it's writing papers, it's all that sort of stuff. And there's many different ways to show that you've known that, those facts, those procedures, that conscious knowledge. I know how to you know, write some code, or you will know how to write some code if you don't already. I know how to complete this task at an intellectual level. But it's also about knowing how to do stuff. So in software, we're going to talk about how do I build code, how do I test code, how do I debug code. A lot of it's implicit knowledge. Like when I ask you, how do you calculate your credits you need to graduate? Well, there's certainly some formulas to be able to do that, but being a student for so long, you kind of also just have a good sense. Like, this is the classes, there's some credits. I got it. You don't need to have a manual there for you because you're an expert student at this point. You've been doing it for many, many years, but doing stuff effectively is more than just simply following procedures. Particularly in computing, computing is there to change the world. It's there to do something that nobody's ever done before. And to do that effectively, you have to create, you have to do new things. You have to be spontaneous and think outside the box, as they say, and create stuff that the world's never seen before. But to do that, I have to do that in coordination with other people. There's not really big software systems that are built by themselves. So accountability is a really important part of being a professional, and particularly a computing professional. It's up to you to determine your level of success and effort you're willing to put into something. There's been a big trend this summer, people talking about quiet quitting, and it's such a ridiculous term. It's just simply saying that some people want to rule the world and some people want to live in it. and that's okay. Everything in between. You don't have to, in my class or in life, you don't have to be the best at everything. But what you do need to do is know for yourself what you expect to get out of it, and then meet those expectations. If your job wants you to get certain things done, well, you need to get those things done. If you don't, then you'll probably lose your job. If you go beyond that, then ideally they reward you, but not every job will. Some jobs, they just want you to do your work and go from there. But another big aspect there is taking that feedback and getting better. The thing that I will promise you is you will not do everything right the first time in this class. If you did, why would you be taking the class? Um, Mostly that's because there isn't a right. I can't give you a checklist of all the things you're supposed to do and you're going to write code or design systems or whatever this class is about the first time perfectly. So I'm going to give you some feedback that's going to help you get better, and that's okay. You most important thing here is your job as a computing professional is to deliver something to somebody else. You absolutely can write a video game that only you play, or you can write a business system that only you play. But the most meaningful things we do and the most lucrative are going to be for somebody else. Somebody else is going to buy it or use it, or it's going to empower somebody else and make their life better. And so that accountability is really built into the profession and something you need to start doing now. You're not accountable when you just simply do exactly what your teacher tells you to do. You're accountable by setting your own goals and turning things at your own pace and learning things beyond what the teacher may be expected up front if you want to be really, really great at something, or just simply meet those expectations if you just are happy with, getting a good grade but not being an expert at this point. I'm okay with all of those. Part of that, though, requires some organization, that you're going to make and communicate plans, that you're going to set your own deadlines, that you're going to do your best to stick to those deadlines in here. There's going to be an expectation here. I give you a framework for when things could and should be done, something to be doing every week, but I don't expect that you're going to everybody work at the same pace. That's actually crazy. Some of you will work faster, some of you will work slower, some of you will this will be easy, some of you this will be hard, some of you will have life impediments that get in the way, and some of you will have a lot of free time that you could work ahead because you're very passionate. All of those are okay, but this organization will help you manage that and get to the end, where you need to be. One reminder of all this is professionals are ethical, that they consider the implication of their work or shortcutting the work, particularly as it comes to unrepresented stakeholders. So, you can, in this class, you can copy things from other people. Should you? Of course not. You definitely should be discussing your concerns. If you think, this class is giving you assignments you don't want to do, that's okay. Pick another one. In life, sometimes people will give you work assignments that you feel are unethical. You discuss your concerns. Seek to expand your experience in this class and in life by understanding complex issues and why people might feel differently than you do. But most importantly here, do your work with integrity. Do your own work. This is about learning. This isn't about getting the work done. I don't care what code you write. I've already written the code. Everything you're going to write, I already have it written an answer to it. But I want you to do your work and give credit to others that might help you along the way. It's okay not to know something here. You just need to, let everybody know that this is where you were. This is how you learned. This is how I know that I can trust the work you inevitably turned in at the end. And we'll talk more about that as we go. Through this class, you're going to work with others. You're going to work well with others, hopefully, by being respectful. You're going to be safe physically and emotionally. You're going to if you're working with people, you're going to keep your partners informed. You're going to share your knowledge. You're going to report your status accurately, including to me. You're going to seek help, but you're going to do it appropriately. So you're not going to just sit around and hope help comes to you. You're going to do the best you can to get started with, but then you'll ask for help as needed and offer your help to others generously, hopefully. Give other people a chance to learn as well. Don't just do their homework for them. So the idea is that I trust that your most important goal as a college student is to learn something. And I don't believe that you want to cheat. And I believe that given freedom, you'll try and do your best. And so I want to talk about how I put some of these principles into action. Well, the first is that I let you choose your desired income. I let you choose the work you want to work on. And then I want to be here to support you in those choices. I don't know what each and one of you wants to do with your life. You do. So if you're not sure what homework to do or where to start or where to go, ask me. But I'm not going to tell you to do these 10 things and expect that's going to be the right fit for everybody. I'm going to let you schedule the class as it goes along. But even when it comes down to how we spend our time each week, it's going to be very different. One day a week, we're going to have a traditional type of class. We're going to meet synchronously. Often, almost all the time, we'll be in the classroom. And there's always exceptions that might come up. And we're going to demonstrate, talk through ideas. Not exactly lecture, but it'll sometimes resemble a little bit of that. But then, as a very big experiment, I'm trying this, what I'm calling a virtual lab day, where one day a week is going to be dedicated to working time. And that working time is entirely optional. You do not have to show up to that day of class if you want to, if you don't want to. Some of you might be in an asynchronous section. You don't have to show up to any of the classes per se. But that's only optional if you're on target. If you're a synchronous student and you fall behind in points and you're not giving me status reports, you're going to have to show up. If you're an asynchronous student, there's going to be some check-in that we have to have. So the reality I've come to is the vast majority of people who struggle in my courses are not struggling because they don't understand the content. They just aren't putting in the work. They're not keeping themselves accountable. They're not keeping up with the work week by week as professionals are expected to do. And so my goal of this structure is to try and encourage you to stay involved. And that's where, you only have to attend virtual days if you're 50 points behind the expected point total at the end of any given week, or you have not submitted the last 2 status reports. And so what does this mean? It means, hey, you don't have to be exactly where we're supposed to be. The first week we might be expected to earn 75 points and you only have 25, that's fine. If you don't feel like being in class, you have better use of your time. That's your choice. It's always your choice, mind you. Even if I was going to take away 20 points every time you missed a class, you can still pass the class. But I don't want to be on top of you that way. I only want to treat you like an employee, that if you are behind in your work, your boss is going to expect you to check in more often. They might expect you to not work remotely. They might expect you to be in the office more. So when you're behind, when you're not in touch, synchronous students need to show up to that next class. They don't have to be there the whole time necessarily. They don't have to necessarily be there at the start of class if you have an early class or an appointment. But you do need to check in if you're falling behind. Asynchronous students absolutely can attend that time. It's going to be online anyway. But if you have another class then or whatever, you need to find another time to check in with me. So we'll talk more about this in class, but I want you to see this up front. If you don't like this paradigm, well, you have an opportunity to maybe choose another section or go forward with it. I do know that some of you prefer strict deadlines and disciplinarians and that sort of teaching style. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's probably not most employment places that seek professionals like we hope to train you to be. So the idea is to mimic that, to have those expectations and have similar consequences and the professional world to disengagement. Now, if you don't show up to work, you don't do your work, you're going to get fired. There's no doubt about that. So here, I'm not going to fire you. I'm not even going to fail you right away. But what's going to happen is, first of all, you lose any benefit of the doubt on any academic dishonesty issues. Unfortunately, procrastinators almost always are the ones who decide to cheat at the end of a class. So if you are not keeping up, if I don't see you, if I don't talk to you regularly, we get to the end of the class, there's an academic honesty issue, I can't give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll just have to take that to the academic honesty review. I'll have to get a third party on whether your work was done honestly or not. That is not happy for me. It's a lot of extra work. It's not happy for you because it could end up in a permanent mark. Probably a more consequential here, I hope, is that you do run the risk of running afoul of the late submission privilege. Most of my assignments aren't due until the last day of class. So if you are perpetually late and you're a month behind on everything, I might decide that you can't turn in things after a certain point. It'll be with notice and you'll know that this is going to happen and we'll have a conversation with it. But I don't want to get into a situation where you're learning 10 weeks of material in the last week of class and hoping to pass. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. And so the reality is if you fall that behind, you're probably unlikely to pass anyway, or you're unlikely to succeed in the next class, and so you'll probably just end up having to retake the course. But I don't want to dwell on the negative there. The positive of this is this might be for some of you the first time you've been treated like an employee. This might be the first time you've been put in a situation where you can succeed or maybe struggle on your own terms. But the thing I want you to understand is I don't expect everybody to be the same. This puts a lot of extra pressure on you and me to manage our time and to work back and forth. And guess what? That's what the workplace is every week. Not everybody gets assigned the same work at the workplace. Not everybody's work is always as easy, and people have vacations and other things that come up. That's life, and I want to give you an experience of that even here while you're in school, and ideally help you succeed early on and develop those habits that will make you a great professional when you're ready to go to the workplace.